they'll be playing after I'm done with my spiel. So thanks for coming out tonight. You may or may not know what Law Day is or who the American Law Firm is, so I just wanted to spend a few minutes and tell you what's going on. And then we'll have some dinner and some music and just hang out. So we are the American Law Firm. We're a general practice firm located near Mulford and State. We practice in every area of law, basically. So I have several attorneys concentrating in several different areas. And Law Day is a yearly celebration, basically, that has been around since the 50s. President Eisenhower actually signed it into law. And it started out as the American Bar Association wanted to point out how far they've come in the 50s with the rule of law based on voting rights and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of a time to celebrate how far they'd gone over the years since the days of disenfranchisement all the way through. So that's what kind of spurned it. And so every year, there's always some sort of celebration. It's just under the radar in the news. You don't really hear much about it. But the whole point is to celebrate democracy, celebrate voting, the effect of voting, the value of it. Here, how important voting is, but I think it's really underappreciated right. And so if you look around the world at different countries, especially in Western civilization countries like Europe, places like that, even compared to Europe, our system of law is unique. We have in the criminal defense area public defenders, and not many countries have a free lawyer to represent you in a criminal case. We have attorneys in family law cases that'll just represent the children, and they'll be paid by the state as well. So there's unique areas of law here that are born out of years of learning the hard way, I think. So it's a lot of things to celebrate within the law. As far as voting goes, we all know that people have a lot of complaints about politics. They have a lot to complain about on the left and the right, and nobody's ever happy with what turns out. And the common theme with that is if you don't vote, then what are you complaining about? If you want to complain, you should go vote and have your complaints heard that way. And so that's a big theme also that's kind of pointed out with this. And we are lucky to have the Belvidere Mayor, Mike Chamberlain, here tonight. He's going to come up in a couple minutes and talk about his unique perspective with voting and the value of it. But I just wanted to, again, thank you guys for being here. And it's just a time to kind of celebrate and think about democracy and the history of voting in this country. I'm sure a lot of you who've been around a long time have seen a lot of shifts in politics and the culture, from the Kennedy era to the Nixon era to the Clinton era to the Bush era and all this different stuff. So, chapter upon chapter upon chapter of American history. American Law Firm, we have some business cards and pens and information. Please take it with you. When dinner's on and we're all eating and hanging out, Esmeralda, my assistant, who has put this whole thing together 99% of the way, so I appreciate her. We'll go around and just get some information, some name and address info for everybody, because we're going to mail you out a free gift in the mail. At our law firm, real quick, we are a general practice firm, and so we have this policy of giving free consultations to people who call up with any legal questions. And we'll meet with people for free and talk about their questions and kind of plan out what we can do to meet their goals. And we have a pretty much open policy for any kind of situation going on. So don't hesitate to always email us and call us with questions as you go forward, and we can always walk you through what possibilities there are. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Mayor Chamberlain up here. He's got to go pretty soon, but I was glad to see him come by. And if you'd like to speak a couple minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Look around this room. First of all, I want to say thank you to the people that came. This is about the turnout that we have when we have an election in terms of people that vote. And John touched on it. It's the most disappointing thing in the world when you make the commitment to public service. I don't like to use that other word that starts with a P, politics. When I made the commitment to public service and we have an election and we only have 20% of our registered voters show up, and you go and have opportunities for people to come and ask you whatever questions they want to. Communication is everything. I would say to people, and I will still say it, if you meet me and you don't want to vote for me, that's fine, but please, please vote. In my lifetime, I've seen a lot of things change. My grandmother lived to be 96 years old. She was born in 1891. She was 30 years old, 31 years old when she got a chance to vote. No, that's not right. 29 years old when she got the vote finally. She was a first grade school teacher, one-room schoolhouse in rural Michigan. She got a buggy, a horse, and $6 a month in room and board. And she pounded into us as kids how important the Constitution was, how important it was to vote. When I was in high school, starting about 9th grade, we started to hear more about the war in Vietnam. And one day I was walking in the hall, and actually I didn't have a hall pass, and the vice principal said, "Mike," and I went, "Oh boy, here we go." And he said, "Would you go out and lower the flag in front of one end of our school was our auditorium, and lower the flag?" And I said, "Yes, sir. What's the occasion?" He said, "One of your classmates is coming home in a coffin." And the first, Jim Dewar, 2 years ahead of me, was the first casualty from Vietnam. Jimmy never had a chance to vote, never got registered to vote, couldn't vote. It was 1970 before they lowered the age from 21 to 18. Couldn't get a beer and couldn't vote, but he could give up his life for our country. When I look at all of the sacrifices that people have made over the years to earn the vote, and I look at a 20% turnout, and then I hear people like John said, say they don't like what goes on in Springfield, they don't like what goes on in Washington, neither do I. Because it seems now that the biggest pocketbook wins the election. The face that gets on the television screen the most. When I grew up, if you just constantly went and badmouthed everybody about everything, it was not an attractive thing, and people didn't like you for that. Now we elect people to run our country that get there by doing that. It makes no sense to me, none whatsoever. I think that we all need to have a chance to take a step back and ask who's the root of the problem. And we are. When I first got this invitation, I'm busy. You know, I'm busy all the time. And I thought, oh, can I really do that? And then I said, you know what? You're required to do that. That's part of what you do. It's public service. Voting is not just a right, it's a privilege, and it's a moral principle that we all need to redevelop in our kids and our grandkids. And they need to understand that without exercising your franchise to vote, you have no say in what happens. The people who take your tax money, the people who set the laws and rules that govern us, some of them are pretty darn silly too. If we don't exercise the vote, we really don't have a say in any of that. And what I have found is that a lot of people that complain the loudest haven't been near the polls in a lifetime. It's amazing to me that there are people my age who have never voted, and yet they've lived through the same things that I have, and I can't imagine not voting. I would appreciate the invitation to come and speak tonight. I think that this is the kind of an occasion that this room ought to be packed with people who just want to celebrate being Americans, celebrate what it means to have the freedom to be able to go and vote, and to remember and thank the people who gave up everything so we could keep that freedom, and the people who fought hard and long to earn that right. And we want to make sure that we never make anybody give it up for the wrong reason. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I know you had to take time out of your schedule tonight, so I appreciate that. So we're gonna set up the food soon. And one thought was, there's a reason why I wanted to have the event here, is because of the veterans that are a part of this whole building. And that's always inevitably tied in with any talk about democracy or voting. It's always about somebody who served to protect the legacy that we've always started since the beginning of the country. With that, I produced a commercial a long time ago for the American Law Firm that has all those themes tied into it. It's a short, 30-second commercial. I just want to play it real quick because it kind of hits on some of those images and some of those themes. When that's done, Lennox is going to kick it off again. We'll open up the food. Please help yourselves, and we'll just hang out and enjoy it. Thank you.
Our country country was founded on a Bill of Rights, which set a bold standard for the protection of individual rights, a standard set for the rest of the world to follow. At the American Law Firm, you also have a Bill of Rights as a client by offering free consultations, simple flat fees, and payment plans to our clients. We deliver effective legal solutions to your problems and goals. Call the American Law Firm at 815-394-1776 to learn more about how we represent our clients and how we can protect you.
So again, it's kind of commercially, it's meant to advertise our law firm, but it's still, there's a reason why we're called the American Law Firm, because we believe in the American values of honest, hard work, respect for each individual, no matter their background, no matter their problems. They come see us, we help them out. So that's a theme I wanted to play out there. So Lennox, again, thanks for coming. You guys can sit up and start going. And Esmeralda will open up the food, and let's get lined up and get it. Thank you for coming.